It is 8:54 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is the 13th day of May 2025. This is episode 1094 of Bitcoin, and well, we've got some Samourai wallet news coming up. I'm going to be doing three stories. Well, not exactly all stories, but going to talk about some resources. We're going to talk about an overview of what's going on. The Southern District of New York, who's in charge of the case for the Department of Justice, is going to persecute no matter what new evidence has come to light. And I've talked about it before, but I'm going to read something from Marty's Bent because he's covering it. Things have changed, and not in a good way. Southern District of New York has just decided to tell DOJ to go sit and spin. They don't really care that their attitudes towards this entire industry have changed. They don't care about the Brady letter, which I'm sure we'll talk about. They don't seem to really just care about anything. They don't care that FinCEN said, we don't think these guys are in violation of anything. SDNY is just drunk on power at this point. And they seem to have enacted their own little fiefdom. And we need to do something about that. So we're going to talk at length for the first part of the show about the Samourai issue. I have a new entrant into the Circle P family of vendors. We'll get to that in a minute. And then Arizona has decided to load yet another chamber into their Colt 45, point it at their temple, and blow their frontal lobes all over the wall. And yes, we will get into it. Inflation numbers have come out. We will talk about how that is affecting the price of Bitcoin and equity markets. Metaplanet is in the news, as is, God forbid, Coinbase, but they are making waves, so we need to talk about it. Dubai is going to be talked about, as is Start Small. It is a granting agency from Jack Dorsey's. It's an initiative from Jack Dorsey, and they have given a fair amount of money to one of our favorite projects in the space. But let's get into this Samourai business. We're going to start with Marty's Bent. If you don't know who Marty Bent is, he's been in the space for a long time. He writes every day. He is a podcaster, TFTC, one of the older podcasts in the space as well. I got a lot of respect for Marty. I spent a lot of time trying to convince him on Twitter when I was still a regular on there that he was going to move somewhere. They moved out of New York and they had to go somewhere, and they were like, where should I go? And I was like doing everything I could to get him to come to Texas. I was literally taking pictures of the sunsets in Texas and going, you gotta come here, man. Look at the beauty and all that stuff. And sure enough, I don't know if it was me, but he did actually end up in Austin, Texas, and continued doing what he does. So he's got a pretty important piece here from his TFTC.io, Marty's Bent, and it's entitled, "The Samourai Wallet Case Will Set a Very Important Precedent." Last week, we covered the bombshell developments in the Samourai wallet case. For those who didn't read it, last Monday, the world was made aware of the fact that the Southern District of New York was explicitly told by FinCEN that the federal regulator did not believe that Samourai Wallet was a money service business 6 months before they arrested the co-founders of Samourai Wallet for conspiracy to launder money and illegally operating a money services business. This was an obvious overstep by SDNY that many believe would be quickly alleviated, especially considering the fact that the Trump administration, via the Department of Justice, has made it clear that they do not intend to rule via persecution. It seems that this is not the case, as the SDNY responded to a letter sent from the defense to dismiss the case by stating that they fully plan to move forward, stating that they only sought the recommendations of FinCEN employees and did not believe that those employees' comments were indicative of FinCEN's overall views on this particular case. It's a pretty egregious abuse of power by the SDNY. I'm not sure if the particular lawyers and judges within the Southern District of New York are very passionate about preventing the use of self-custody Bitcoin and products that enable Bitcoiners to transact privately, or if they're simply participating in a broader meta war with the Trump administration, who has made it clear to federal judges across the country that last fall's elections will have consequences, mainly that the executive branch will try to effectuate the policies that President Trump campaigned on by any legal means necessary, and Samourai Wallet is simply in the middle of that meta war. However, one thing is pretty clear to me: this is an egregious overstep of power. The interpretation of that law, as has been laid out and confirmed by FinCEN over the last decade, is pretty clear. You cannot be a money services business if you do not control the funds that people are sending to each other, which is definitely the case with Samourai Wallet. People downloaded Samourai Wallet, spun up their own private public key pairs, and initiated transactions themselves. Samourai never custodied funds or initiated transactions on behalf of the users. This is very cut and dry, straight to the point. It should be something that anyone with more than 2 brain cells is able to discern pretty quickly. It is imperative that anybody in the industry who cares about being able to hold Bitcoin in self-custody, to mine Bitcoin, and to send Bitcoin in a peer-to-peer fashion makes some noise around this case. None of the current administration's attempts to foster innovation around Bitcoin in the United States will matter if the wrong precedent is set in this case. If the SDNY is successful in prosecuting Samourai Wallet, it will mean that anybody holding Bitcoin in self-custody, running a Bitcoin fold node, I think he meant full node, running a Bitcoin full node, or mining Bitcoin will have to KYC all of their users and counterparts lest they be labeled a money services business that is breaking laws stemming from the Bank Secrecy Act. This will effectively make building a self-custody Bitcoin wallet, running a node, or mining Bitcoin hold on. I think he's got another typo here. Let me interpret. The ability to comply with the rules that God, I am screwing this up. This will effectively make building a self-custody Bitcoin wallet, running a node, or mining Bitcoin illegal in the United States. The ability to comply with the rules that would be unleashed if this Samourai case goes the wrong way are such that it will effectively destroy the industry overnight. It is yet to be seen whether or not the Department of Justice will step in to publicly flog the SDNY and force them to stop pursuing this case. This is the only likely way that the case will go away at this point, so it's very important that Bitcoiners who care about being able to self-custody Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin, or send Bitcoin in a peer-to-peer fashion inside the United States make it clear to the current administration and any local politicians that this is an issue that you care deeply about. If we are too complacent, there is a chance that the Southern District of New York could completely annihilate the Bitcoin industry in the United States despite all of the positive momentum we're seeing from every angle at the moment. Okay, so that's Marty's bent on the subject of the Samourai Wallet and SDNY and the DOJ situation that's coming up. And yes, it's important. I'm not certain that he's correct that it will destroy the entire industry overnight. But this is not good, right? And it's a fight worth fighting for. You want to pick a hill to die on, not a bad hill to die on. It really isn't. So what can be done? Well, if you don't have any money at all, we can do the following. Frank Corva from Bitcoin Magazine has this piece that he's written. Having the Bitcoin privacy discussion with politicians will be difficult. Please help. I've spoken with a number of politicians in the past few weeks. They all see Bitcoin as a store of value and believe that U.S. citizens have the right to hold their private keys. I can't say that it doesn't feel good to hear U.S. elected officials express these views and even propose bills that would codify pro-Bitcoin legislation into law. It's surely refreshing, especially after the political antagonism that Bitcoiners and the Bitcoin industry endured under the Biden administration. With that said, there is still work to be done, and much of that work involves advocating to preserve our right to transact with Bitcoin privately. One of the best privacy-preserving tools that we have at the Bitcoin base layer is Bitcoin mixers, which help users to anonymize their transactions. And one of the most well-known mixers is Samourai Wallet, which enables users to mix their Bitcoin in a non-custodial fashion. That is, the developers and maintainers of the wallet never touched users' private keys. This software was shut down early last year, though, when the U.S. Department of Justice pressed charges against the Samourai developers, including conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money-transmitting business and conspiracy to commit money laundering charges. The developers of Tornado Cash, open-source mixing software deployed on Ethereum, are also facing similar charges. Some politicians, including Senator Cynthia Lummis and Ron Wyden, have come out in support of the Samourai developers, drafting a letter to the former U.S. Attorney General, the Honorable Merrick Garland, in which they outlined that the developers clearly did not operate a money-transmitting business as per the definition of such a business in FinCEN guidance from 2019. With that said, Senator Lummis has also co-authored a bill which she calls for the U.S. Treasury to conduct a study on combating anonymous crypto asset transactions like asset mixers, but I digress. Mixers are incredibly important for the human rights activist who needs to maintain their anonymity when sending and receiving funds, as well as to everyday people who value transactional privacy. Therefore, we need to bring this issue to the attention of politicians, as many are unfamiliar with it, so to hopefully have more of them come out in defense of the Samourai developers and to see the importance of preserving U.S. citizens' rights to use mixers. And for this reason, I'm asking you to use the letter template published by my colleague Shinobi at the end of this piece to write your representatives. Just as we've rallied to free Ross and to protect the right to self-custody, we must rally in support of transactional privacy. This is something that I, the political correspondent for this publication, cannot do alone. I need your help. So please heed this call to action and inform your representatives about this matter so that by the time I have a conversation with them about it, they have some understanding of the issue. Okay. So that's Frank Corva's that is Frank Corva's 2 cents about this issue. He's saying to write a letter to your politician. Okay. And I'm absolutely certain that there's going to be a lot of people that are within the sound of my voice that says that does absolute shit. Well, maybe. Maybe not. How many people can we get to actually send this letter to their representatives and their senators and pretty much anything else that you can figure out who will listen? I mean, maybe even at the state level, not just your U.S. rep, but also the guys at the state. How many letters can we get out? How many phone calls can we make? Can we melt the switchboard? Can we make it a problem for the phone, for the phones over there at the U.S. Capitol? Can we make it a problem for your state representatives at their Capitol? Can we make that much noise? We're going to have to do something. We just can't sit here. We're going to have to help it. It's not because you love the guys from Samourai Wallet. It's more than that. This has far-reaching implications. And to allow a single district from the Department of Justice to make the call for people that live in Texas and Arizona and Colorado and Idaho and Washington State and Nebraska is ludicrous. They should only be able to say what goes on in New York, specifically in the Southern District of New York, like their name implies, but just the whole state. Or I'll take it this way. That Circuit Court of Appeals, those states, if you want to go and listen to SDNY, fine, you go do that. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, those domains should be able to tell SDNY, no, we're not listening to you. That's really when the DOJ, we actually need the DOJ to tell SDNY to stop it. So do we send a letter to just the senators, or do we also, and representatives, or do we also send these letters to the administration of the Department of Justice itself? I highly recommend doing that as well. Should it be an email? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe paper letters with an actual stamp. I mean, shit, you can print this thing off. You can sign your name to the bottom of it, put it in an envelope, and throw it in the mail with a stamp on it. It don't take that much time. But we can't just let this go. And that's just if you only have time. If you have no money and no time, this is one of the things that you can at least do. If you do have money and you want to actually help the Samourai Defense Fund, I've got this from the blog of Ronin Dojo that says Samourai Defense Fund, stand up for Bitcoin privacy, support the Samourai Wallet Legal Defense Fund. In the ongoing battle for financial privacy and freedom, the developers who push the boundaries of innovation often face unfounded accusations and legal challenges. Today, we call on the Bitcoin community to rally in support of Samourai and TDev, the co-founders of Samourai Wallet, who are under unjust attack for their contributions to Bitcoin privacy and non-custodial solutions. Samourai Wallet has been a beacon, the beacon of privacy and security within the Bitcoin ecosystem. By developing cutting-edge tools like the non-custodial CoinJoin features, Samourai Wallet empowers users to maintain their privacy and autonomy. These innovations are crucial for protecting users, especially those in repressive regimes and individuals who rely on Bitcoin for financial freedom. Despite their positive impact, Samourai and TDev now face charges of conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to commit operating an unlicensed money services business. These charges are based on fundamental misunderstandings of the technology behind non-custodial wallets and are a misclassification of Samourai's privacy-enhancing tools. The prosecution's attempt to label Samourai Wallet as a money service business is not only false, but also sets a dangerous precedent. If successful, it could undermine the entire non-custodial and privacy-focused segment of the Bitcoin ecosystem, threatening the very principles of decentralization and user autonomy, threatening it with the full weight of the enforcement and judicial branches of the state. The implications of this case extend far beyond Samourai and TDev. A harmful ruling against Samourai Wallet could pave the way for more stringent regulations on other non-custodial tools, multi-signature wallets, and peer-to-peer transaction systems. This would be a significant setback for maintaining Bitcoin's foundational ethos and decentralization through free and voluntary participation through threat of legal action on those who would want to work on improving it and could stifle innovation in privacy technologies. Samourai and TDev have given much to the Bitcoin community, definitely more than most, tirelessly working to enhance privacy and security for all users, and now it is our turn to support them in their time of need. The Legal Defense Fund for Samourai Wallet is crucial in ensuring that these visionary pioneers receive the support that they need to fight these baseless charges. We urge everyone who values privacy, autonomy, and innovation in the Bitcoin space to donate to the Samourai Wallet Legal Defense Fund. Your contributions will help cover legal fees, support strategic litigation, and ensure that Samourai and TDEV can continue their vital work without the looming threat of unjust legal action. You can donate. Every contribution, big or small, makes a difference, so visit p2prights.org. That's P, the number 2, prights.org. That's p2prights.org to make a tax-deductible donation, or leave the information as non-applicable, or NA, to make an anonymous donation. Put the following as the purpose of the donation in the bottom of the field: United States versus Rodriguez and Hill, parentheses, Samourai wallet. Then spread the word. Share this blog post, talk to your friends, and use your social media platforms to raise awareness about this critical issue. Then stay informed. Follow updates on the case and learn more about the broader implications for the Bitcoin community. By coming together, we can defend the innovators who protect our financial privacy and uphold the principles of Bitcoin. Stand with Samourai and TDEV. Support the Samourai Wallet Legal Defense Fund today. Together, we can ensure that the future of Bitcoin remains decentralized, private, and free from overreaching regulation. So again, if you want to donate actual physical money, go to p2prights.org. That's p2prights.org. And in the purpose of the donation, which is the bottom of the form field, type in US v. Rodriguez and Hill, parentheses, Samourai. That's US v. Rodriguez and Hill, Samourai wallet. Spread the word. Get share not only the blog post that they're talking about, the one I'm reading from, it's the URL for it is in the show notes. It's in the show notes. It is in the show notes. Click it and then copy it and then read the blog post and then, I don't know, email your friends, put it onto Facebook. If you still use LinkedIn, put it there. I don't know, whatever it is that you use, send it. Send this out. These guys need help. Again, I'm not the person that gets my panties in a twist about everything, and that it's always we're all gonna die. I don't think that that's actually the case. It's going to make operations of Bitcoiners harder if this goes through, and it needs to not go through. These guys need to get free. Right? That's just paramount. But the doom and gloom, like what we're seeing with Core versus Knots and the op return battle, and now we're talking about this, and everything's going to kill Bitcoin. Nothing kills Bitcoin. I'm sorry. It may make it more difficult to use. We may get in more trouble for using it, and nobody wants that. And you'll go, well, that means it's going to die. No, because the Southern District of New York has zero say of what goes on in Kenya. It has zero say in what goes on in Costa Rica, although the United States administration can put pressure in different avenues. I'm just saying, let's not go all the way to death strike. Because honestly, if it was that easy to kill Bitcoin, then it would have been dead a long time ago. Please, while we're supporting the Samourai wallet guys, don't get all sad and think we're all going to die. We're not all going to die. Bitcoin's not going to die, but we need to get these guys out. So if you got money, go to blog.ronindojo.io/Samourai Defense Fund. Again, the URL for this will be in the show notes. If you don't have money, but you do have time, then follow Frank Corva's advice. That story's URL directly to his piece, where you can get the template for the letter that he's talking about, is in the show notes. It's in the show notes. It's in the show notes. Click it. Send it to people. Get all this information out. Make it kind of like a weed, right? Everybody hates weeds in their yard, except when you find out that those weeds are there for a purpose. And if we can get enough weeds to sprout up, then maybe, just maybe, somebody will go, oh shit, we've got a problem with our soil here, and that we can get it fixed. We need to get it fixed. So I got a new entrant. Shifting gears here. I got a new entrant into the Circle P. The Circle P is my attempt to gather up plebs that are just like you, and they've got goods and services for sale. They want to sell you their goods and services because they want to either a side hustle, or they either have one, or they want to make it their full-time hustle because it's what they really enjoy doing, right? And if we want a circular economy where we buy things from people in Bitcoin, we need to have places where you can do that. And the Circle P is my attempt to get all of that shit done all in one place. And I am proud to offer Oshi. OshiGood.us. That's Oshi, OSHIGOOD.us/products. The URL is in the Circle P portion of the show notes. Yeah, he's the guy that makes the HODL butter, the HODL bars, the stuff that you're seeing him everywhere. Why? Because he's got a good product. He shipped me one. In fact, this one, I just went ahead and said, screw it. It's like before he even got a chance to do anything, I just went ahead and bought like one of his HODL bars and had it shipped to me. And I had been talking to him about seeing if he was, interested in getting into the Circle P. And he said, yeah, sure. Why not? So I got this bar and I, throw it in the fridge to get it to, cause he says, refrigerate the HODL bar first. And it's got all kinds of cool stuff in it. It's got let's see, which one did I get? I got the banana chip, I believe. Yeah, I got the banana chip. So the ingredients are dates, pecan butter, dark chocolate chips, banana powder, peanut flour, cacao powder, or, like chocolate powder, vanilla extract, cinnamon, and sea salt. These things are awesome. And he only takes Bitcoin. If you're not taking Bitcoin for your goods and services, you're not in the Circle P. You have to at least accept Bitcoin. And Oshi only accepts Bitcoin. So go to OshiGood.us. That's OshiGood.us. Again, the URL is directly in the show notes. And order something from him. Now, I don't know. Let me see. Let me add something. I'm going to add this to the cart. I'm going to actually go through the motions here. Enter promo code on the cart. Okay, so when you order something, it drops into when you select something, it drops into your cart. When you go to the cart, the first thing you see is what you ordered, and below it is a promo code. All right, so just, I don't know, type in Bitcoin, and I don't have it like a discount worked out with Oshi yet. This is all brand new. We've just been working on this for like the last 5 or 6 days, right? We don't know what this looks like. But there's got to be a way that you tell Oshi that you heard about his products here on the Bitcoin and podcast. So type in Bitcoin and for promo and see what happens. He understands that if I make a sale for him, that it's up to him to figure out what he thinks that sale is worth, and then he pays me that in Satoshis directly to my Lightning node. And that's the way the Circle P works. Again, that HODL bar that I got from him is freaking awesome. In fact, that's one of the things that you want to take with you on a hike. It's got good, solid, meaty feel to it. It fills you up. It gives you some energy. It's like I said, it's chock full of carbs. That's the point. You don't eat it as a snack. Of course you can, because it's absolutely delicious. And if you've eaten a protein bar or something like that lately, they always taste chalky. This is delicious. This is something that you might want to cut into quarters and actually serve with coffee to a friend or something like that. It's amazing. It's got a great flavor. It'll get you through a hike. I guarantee it. Order one today. OshiGood.us, promo code Bitcoin, and we'll see what happens. Now, Arizona decides that they want to kill themselves again, because killing themselves once just wasn't enough. Amin Hasquanis has this one from Cointelegraph. Arizona governor kills 2 crypto bills and cracks down on Bitcoin ATMs. Doubling down on stupid is never a good idea, but yes, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs has done so by vetoing 2 key cryptocurrency-related bills that aimed to expand the state's involvement in digital assets while signing a strict regulatory measure targeting Bitcoin ATMs. In a self-immolatory move on May the 12th, Hobbs rejected Senate Bill 1373, which sought to establish a digital asset strategic reserve fund. The fund would have allowed Arizona to hold crypto assets obtained through seizures or legislative allocations. Quote, current volatility in cryptocurrency markets does not make a prudent fit for general fund dollars, she stated in her veto letter. I have already signed legislation this session which allows the state to utilize cryptocurrency without placing general fund dollars at risk, she added. The decision followed her veto of Senate Bill 1025, the more ambitious Arizona Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act, on May the 3rd. Well, it would have authorized up to 10% of the state's treasury and retirement funds to be invested in Bitcoin and other digital assets. And according to data from BitcoinLaws.io, 26 states have introduced strategic crypto reserve bills, with 18 of them still currently active. Hobbs also vetoed Senate Bill 1024, which would have permitted state agencies to accept cryptocurrency payments for taxes, fines, and fees via approved service providers, although the proposal attempted to shield the risk. I keep getting alerts on my phone and it's driving me nuts. Sorry. Although the proposal attempted to shield the state from direct exposure to price volatility, Hobbs said it still introduced, quote, too much risk. Oh, for God's sakes. Well, anyway, that's that, right? But no, you would think that would be that, but no, she went after Bitcoin ATMs as well, because on May the 12th, Katie Hobbs, I wish her name was Karen, approved House Bill 2387, which introduces new consumer protection rules for cryptocurrency kiosk or ATM operators, aiming to reduce fraud and improve transparency. The bill mandates that kiosks display clear, multilingual warnings about common crypto scams and require users to acknowledge these risks before completing transactions. Operators must also provide, here it comes, detailed receipts that include the transaction data, contact information, fees, and refund policies. Furthermore, the bill caps transactions at $2,000 per day for new customers and $10,500 per day for returning users after 10 days. Kiosk providers must also offer 24/7 toll-free customer service and post the number visibly on each machine. Under the bill, if a new user is tricked into sending crypto under false pretenses and reports it with proof within 30 days, they are entitled to a full refund, including fees. According to Coin ATM Radar, there are currently 20 active Bitcoin ATMs in Arizona. Notably, Hobbs has not entirely closed the door on digital assets, because on Wednesday, she signed Nothing Burger House Bill 2749, which updates Arizona's unclaimed property laws to include digital assets, which was freaking stupid. But the legislation allows the state to retain unclaimed cryptocurrencies in their original form rather than liquidating them into fiat currency. And as I've said on several occasions, that makes no sense because of the way Bitcoin works. It's clear these people have no idea how it actually works, but hey, that's not their fault. They're stuck in the fiat world. If we want them to learn how to use this stuff, it's going to be up to us. Meanwhile, we've got numbers to run. So CPI numbers have come in. All right, so that's what's going to be regulating the numbers that we read today. So let's get into that a little bit. The April consumer price index rose 0.2%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's less than economists forecast for 0.3%, though up from negative 0.1% in March on a year-over-year basis. The CPI was higher by 2.3%, the slowest amount since February of 2021. Forecast had been for 2.4%, and March's pace was 2.4%. Core CPI, which strips out food and energy costs, rose 0.2% in April, up from 0.1 in March, but less than the 0.3 expected. Core CPI year over year rose 2.8%, flat from March, and in line with forecast for 2.8%. So that gives us the landscape for what we're about to see in the numbers. Now, here's my predictions. Jerome Powell is getting all the ammunition he needs to defend keeping federal fund rates exactly the same and not even considering dropping them, because he's going to be able to say, look, it's working. It's working. And maybe it is. But what does the market want? The market wants cheap ass money. Oh my God, breaking. Trump says the U.S. will remove all sanctions on Syria, which ain't going to make him very popular with the Karens of the blue hair crowd. Anyway, let's get back to this. Jerome Powell doesn't need to remove or need to lower the federal fund rates. He has all the ammunition he needs to make that case. He does, right? But the market is pissed, or it's probably going to be pissed. We'll see if I'm right when we read the actual numbers. I think what this means is that people are going to say, well, we can't get into risky assets because I can't borrow cheap money to put into those risky assets. Therefore, we're probably going to see some decreasing numbers today, but not in energy, where oil is up a whopping 2.87% to 63.73 per barrel. Brent North Sea is up 2.6% to 66.65. Almost the devil number. Close, but no cigar. Natural gas is also in the green. A very rare occurrence for natural gas to be following oil. It is up 0.7% to $3.67 per thousand, and gasoline is up 1.5% to $2.16 per gallon. Gold, a very much well-known safe haven asset, is up a point to $32.59 and 6 dimes. Silver is up 1.6. Platinum is up 1.6. Copper is up 2.1. Palladium is up 1.8%. Ag is mostly in the green today. Biggest winner is chocolate. Oh, swinging for the fences, my brother. 9.5% to the upside. God dang. Biggest loser, however, is rough rice. It is 1.86% to the downside. And livestock, we got live cattle is up 0.1%. Lean hogs are up 0.8%. Feeder cattle, however, moving sideways slightly into the red. Here it comes. Am I right? Maybe not. Dow is down 0.5 point. It is off 201. S&P, however, is in the green, 0.74% to the upside. And NASDAQ, which is, in my opinion, representative of a risky bag of assets, because it's a lot of tech, and tech is, has a tendency to be kind of risky. It's actually up 1.57%. So I'm thinking I'm wrong here. S&P Mini is up 0.5 point. Well, what's Bitcoin doing? Well, let's see. $104,160. That is a $2.07 trillion market cap. I am wrong all the way around. You can get 31.8 ounces of shiny metal rocks with your one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,864,057.1 of. Average fees per block are relatively high, 0.09 BTC, well up from the average of 0.04 BTC taken on average on a per block basis. And there are 6 blocks carrying 8,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 8 Satoshis per VByte. Low priority is going to get you in at 5. Hash rate is down even more, but not terrible. It's 873.6 exahashes per second. I mean, in 3 days, we've got to still have an upwards difficulty adjustment of 3.6%, or at least that's what's projected. So a bit of minor capitulation here. We'll see if that lasts. And from rush to flush, yesterday's episode of Bitcoin, and I got Turkey, 35,000 sats. Now that is a boost. Thank you, my brother. Progressively worse with 1,000 sats. Says nothing. Yodel with 888 sats says win moon. Turkey gives me another 500 sats. So thank you, Turkey. And it looks like he gave me 2 500 sats plus the 35. Some bitch gave me 36,000 satoshis. Anyway, thank you, sir. Is actually the name of the guy that gave me 500 sats. It says, thank you, sir. Appreciate you slinging your slang. Permanerd gave me 256. In French, the word douche means shower. If you don't use soap miner soap to douche, you may be a douche and listen to this podcast. I hear you. God's Death with 237. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. Pies with 100 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news you can use where orange cats are the best cats. And Metaplanet has issued $15 million in bonds to buy more Bitcoin. Vivek Sen has it for Bitcoin Magazine. There's an interesting twist to this one, however. It sounds like it's the same that I've brought you before, but this one, they bury the lead. They barely mention it, but they do. Let's see if you can pick it out. Japanese public company Metaplanet announced on Monday that it will issue $15 million of zero-interest bonds to fund additional Bitcoin purchases, making its latest move to expand Bitcoin holdings amid rising institutional adoption. According to regulatory filings, the company's 15th series of ordinary bonds will be issued exclusively to Evo Fund, with each bond carrying a face value of $375,000. Now, these bonds will mature November the 12th, 2025, so it's a short-term bond, and investors will receive full principal repayment, but no interest because it is a zero-interest bond. The latest bond issuance follows Metaplanet's recent acquisition of 1,241 Bitcoin valued at $126.7 million, bringing its total holdings to 6,796 Bitcoin. The company aims to reach 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2025. The zero-interest bonds are being issued without collateral or guarantees, reflecting growing institutional confidence in Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And Metaplanet noted that while the issuance is expected to have minimal impact on its fiscal year 2025 financial results, it will provide updates if material changes occur. The bond issuance represents another step in Metaplanet's Bitcoin-focused strategy, following similar moves by, you guessed it, strategy. Okay, listen. Did you hear what it was that I was saying that the lead was buried? Just think about it. What did I say? I'll give you a hint. According to regulatory filings, the company's 15th series of ordinary bonds will be issued exclusively to Evo Fund. What does that mean? That means all these bonds are being bought by one purchaser, and that purchaser is Evo Fund. And near as I can tell, because they don't actually give a hot link or a URL link to what Evo Fund is, I started looking for it. It looks like it's a hedge fund based out of the Cayman Islands, as near as I can tell. There's a couple of Evo Fund things, but the one that is literally the name Evo Fund, EVO, which is all in all caps, the only one that I can find that seems to make any sense here is this Evolution Capital Management LLC. It is based in the Cayman Islands, and that's about all I got out of it. Its custodian is Credit Suisse. Merrill Lynch International, Evolution Japan Securities, Wells Fargo Bank, Rothschild Bank International Limited, BPN, Paribas, and Goldman Sachs. They are audited by Ernst & Young as well as KPMG. Their brokers are Credit Suisse and Goldman Sachs and all those guys. What I find odd is this is the first instance that I've actually seen where a zero coupon note as a debt instrument was issued by a company that was going to be exclusively sold to a single hedge fund. They are already spoken for. Nobody gets to buy this Metaplanet outlay but Evo Fund. I find that odd. It's probably not, but I looking at that going, this is the first time that I've seen it, and they only mentioned it in that one sentence. They didn't even pontificate upon it, which is why I'm doing so for you now. But we've got other fish to fry, as in Coinbase, which I wish I could light on fire and throw over a cliff, but it's never going away, so I've got a report on it, and so does Daniel Kuhn from The Block. Coin jumps 8% on the news that Coinbase will become the first pure play crypto firm to join the S&P 500 index. Yes, Coinbase is going into the S&P 500. Coinbase, the largest crypto exchange in the U.S., is set to join the S&P 500, the stock market index tracking the financial performance of 500 leading companies, according to CNBC. Coin will replace Discover Financial Services in the benchmark index. And Coinbase shares jumped 8% in aftermarket trading upon the news. Coin currently trades hands at around $226 a share in after-hours trading, down from an all-time high of over $343 set in early December. The listing will take effect before trading on May the 19th, according to CNBC. The exchange went public on April the 14th, 2021, through a direct listing on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol COIN. It is the largest publicly traded pure-play crypto firm with a market capitalization of $53 billion. Coin's market cap peaked at around $85 billion at its debut. So, yes, Coinbase has displaced one of the members of the S&P 500, and they are going to be listed in the S&P 500, the actual S&P 500. I've heard stories of like some companies being listed in the NASDAQ, but you find out it's not the NASDAQ. It's like NASDAQ's farm league, baseball team or something like that. It's not really the NASDAQ. It's owned by NASDAQ. It's part of the umbrella of the NASDAQ family of whatever BS is out there, but it's not actually the NASDAQ. And I was kind of thinking that this was the case here, but sadly, no. Coinbase is actually going to be in the S&P 500. So I don't know. Here come the institutions. And here comes Dubai, who opens to cryptocurrency payments for government services. This is from atlas21.com. The Emirati city will allow cryptocurrency payments in the public sector on May the 12th during the Dubai Financial Summit organized by the Dubai International Financial Center. The country's government signed a memorandum of understanding between Dubai Finance and Crypto.com. The agreement will allow citizens and businesses to pay for government services using cryptocurrencies. The Emirates official media office highlighted that the collaboration represents, quote, an important step forward in the development of global digital finance. The system will use Crypto.com wallets to convert cryptocurrency payments into dirhams, I guess, or dirhams. I can't pronounce it. It's their money, whatever their money is, the official currency of the United Arab Emirates. And these funds will then be transferred directly into Dubai Finance account. Although the specific cryptocurrencies to be accepted have not been disclosed, the statement mentioned that stable cryptocurrencies will be used for transactions. So it looks like it's going to be Tether and USDC. The initiative is part of the broader Dubai cashless strategy launched last October. The strategy aims to strengthen Dubai's global positioning by facilitating secure, and efficient financial transactions in both public as well as private sectors. The official statement emphasized that the Dubai cashless strategy is expected to stimulate economic growth by adding at least 8 billion AED, which is their ticker symbol for their official currency, annually. 8 billion annually to the economy, fueled by the development of a wide range of innovative financial technology services and the accelerated expansion of Dubai's fintech sector. Put a tie on the suit speak. So Dubai's getting into it without actually getting into it. They're going to accept stable coins and immediately convert that to their own currency. It's Dubai. I don't live there, so I mean, I kind of don't care, but I kind of have to, because the United Arab Emirates isn't something to sneeze at when it comes to finance. In fact, as far as I can tell, the UAE and Dubai together, I mean, is like sort of like the financial center of the Middle East. I mean, I know people say, "Oh no, it's really Israel." No, it's really not. I'm sorry, but it's the United Arab Emirates. That's the whole thing was built to be that. And if they're going to accept stable coins for, government services, whatever the hell that means, I guess that means like I can pay I don't know, if they pick up my trash, I can pay for it in USDT. I don't know, but it's a step. And finally, for the day, My First Bitcoin receives a $1 million grant from Start Small. This is out of bitcoinnews.com. We are proud to announce that My First Bitcoin has received a $1 million grant from Start Small. With this financial support from Jack Dorsey's philanthropic initiative, we will continue to serve grassroots Bitcoin education initiatives worldwide. This grant accelerates our work in the creation of distribution of free and open source Bitcoin education materials and infrastructure. It will not only help us improve existing resources such as the Bitcoin Diploma, Bitcoin Intro Course, and teacher training workshops, but also to scale our digital platforms like the online school and the community hub. As a nonprofit founded in 2021, we have grown from a local project into a global movement. Besides creating curricula and framework, our team has directly taught tens of thousands of in-person students. In person, not online, not through a book that they send out through mail. No. Tens of thousands of face-to-face, in-person students as we workshop and refine our materials based on real-world feedback. In 2023, we launched the Independent Bitcoin Educators Node Network, providing a space for others to join us in our mission. The network spans 65 projects from 35 countries, including circular economies, meetup organizers, and other grassroots projects. All commit to the same 6 pillars: that their education is independent, impartial, community-led, Bitcoin-only, quality, and focused on empowerment over profit. While we support that network, it is now self-governing. We always seek to give power to rather than have power over. John Dennehy, founder and executive director of My First Bitcoin, explains, quote, "The revolution of Bitcoin education is that it teaches students how to think, not what to think. Funding from sources with their own incentives is the greatest vulnerability that threatens that. Education will be captured by whoever funds it. We will never take any government money and frequently turn down funding from corporations and companies. The subtle influence of funding has ruined fiat education, and we need to create alternative models for the revolution of Bitcoin education to realize its full potential," end quote. Funding for Bitcoin education must be transparent. This grant is a huge win for all of us, for Bitcoin itself, but even more for independent Bitcoin education as a whole. It enables us to serve the global community better than ever before. It shows everyone what can be achieved if you stay close to your values. Quote, "My First Bitcoin is a proof of concept for all independent Bitcoin educators that if you stay on the mission, even when it's challenging, then you will come out the other side even stronger," added Mr. Denny. Arnold Hubach, director of communications for My First Bitcoin, continued, quote, "Open source money deserves open source education. Over the past few years, we've seen growing demand for our resources around the world, and we remain committed to serving everyone in the Bitcoin space who needs support. The funding enables us to plan further into the future and continue being the first stop provider of free educational tools. We are grateful to start small for believing in our mission and for understanding that Bitcoin education should always be free from external influence. We are also grateful to the community for helping us arrive at this point where we are ready to receive such a grant." So there you go. Me Premier Bitcoin is probably how you may have heard it named. That's My First Bitcoin. Me Premier Bitcoin and My First Bitcoin, same thing. So if you were wondering if this was Me Premier Bitcoin, it is. It's also known as My First Bitcoin. Shout out to Jack Dorsey for throwing $1 million at these guys. That's gonna do a lot for him. It's gonna do a lot for Bitcoin education. Can't thank Jack enough. I know a lot of people don't like Jack, but I really don't give a shit. I just don't care. What I've seen him do in this community is a lot. And I really, honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard him say anything about where, Bitcoin should go. Like, I haven't actually heard him say anything about whether or not he thinks you should run NOTs or Core. I don't think I've ever heard him say anything about whether JPEGs are bad for Bitcoin transactions or valid transactions. All I've seen him do is build shit and give money to other people that are building shit in Bitcoin. He doesn't talk about Ethereum. He doesn't talk about anything else. That's what I've got to go on when it comes to Jack Dorsey. So I really don't give a shit if people hate him or not. Thank you, Jack, for giving $1 million to Me Premier Bitcoin. That's it for the show. It is Tuesday, the 13th. I'm sure there's a bad movie in there somewhere. I'll figure it out and then see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.